Welcome to my channel. I'm Jhonna, and this is Jhonna Unfiltered. Today we're continuing the Zodiac and Personality Type series, and I want to talk about something I find genuinely interesting. We're looking at INFJ combined with the three Earth signs. That's Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And before I get into it, the usual reminder. I don't personally believe zodiac signs determine who you are or control your life. But I do find them interesting as a way to reflect on yourself. So this is just for fun and learning. Take what fits, leave what doesn't. Also, I'm not an astrologer or a psychologist. I'm just someone who spends a lot of time thinking about personality, reading about it, and sharing what I find here. This channel is my learning diary, and you're welcome to learn along with me. All right, let's get into it. First, a quick reminder about what INFJ means, for anyone who's new here. INFJ is a personality type from the Myers-Briggs framework. The letters stand for introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. People who identify as INFJ tend to think deeply, feel things very strongly, care about meaning and purpose, and often see the bigger picture before others do. They're usually quiet but intense. They care about people but need a lot of time alone. And they often have a rich inner world that most people never fully get to see. Now, Earth signs in astrology are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. What they all have in common is that they're grounded. They're practical. They tend to focus on the real world, on stability, on results. They're not as drawn to abstract ideas or fantasy. They want things they can touch, see, and measure. And when you combine that Earth sign energy with the very deep, very internal nature of the INFJ, something interesting happens. The INFJ gets pulled a little more toward reality, a little more toward action, a little less lost in their own head. That doesn't mean they stop being deep or emotional. It just means they have a better chance of actually doing something with all that internal processing. Let's start with Taurus. Taurus is the first Earth sign of the zodiac, covering people born roughly between late April and late May. It's one of the most steady, calm, and patient signs you'll find. Taurus people are known for being loyal, reliable, and deeply attached to comfort and security. They don't rush. They don't like sudden changes. They like knowing what to expect, and they work hard to build something stable that they can enjoy over time. When you combine Taurus with INFJ, you get someone who's a little more peaceful than the typical INFJ. The intensity is still there, but it's wrapped in a quieter, more settled energy. This person isn't going to explode in emotion. They'll sit with their feelings for a long time before anything shows on the surface. And when they commit to something, whether it's a relationship, a project, or a set of values, they mean it. They don't walk away easily. The strength of this combination is real consistency. An INFJ Taurus actually follows through. The INFJ part comes up with the vision, and the Taurus part says, okay, now let's build it slowly and properly. They're the kind of person who doesn't need to be the loudest in the room to have the most impact. They just show up again and again until what they're building actually stands. But the struggle is also very real. Taurus doesn't like to move. It prefers the familiar. And the INFJ, who already tends to stay in situations longer than they should because they're always searching for the deeper potential in people, gets even more stuck when Taurus is in the picture. This combination can stay in a bad job, a painful relationship, or an uncomfortable living situation way past the point where they should have left, just because leaving feels too disruptive. The comfort of the familiar becomes a trap. The key for an INFJ Taurus is learning that change doesn't have to feel catastrophic. Stability can be rebuilt somewhere new. And staying somewhere just because it's familiar isn't the same as it being good for you. Now, let's talk about Virgo. Virgo is the second Earth sign, covering people born roughly between late August and late September. Where Taurus is slow and steady, Virgo is busy, observant, and incredibly detail-oriented. Virgo people notice things others miss. They're analytical. They have high standards for themselves and often for the people around them too. And they genuinely want to be helpful. When a Virgo cares about you, they show it through practical actions. They'll research your problem, organize your plans, and tell you exactly what you're doing wrong in the kindest way they can manage. The INFJ-Virgo combination is one of the most self-aware combinations you'll come across. Both INFJ and Virgo are constantly observing and evaluating. The INFJ does it emotionally and intuitively. The Virgo does it analytically and practically. Put those together, and you have someone who's always asking not just how people feel, but also what the specific patterns are, what the concrete reasons are, what can be improved, and how. This makes the INFJ Virgo very good at certain things. Organizing complex ideas. Breaking down problems. Noticing when something's off before it becomes a real issue. Teaching, editing, writing, explaining things clearly. If I'm being honest, this is the combination that's probably most likely to end up making well-organized, thoughtful content, and then obsessing over every detail of it until it's 3 in the morning. The challenge for this combination is the perfectionism. INFJs already hold themselves to very high internal standards. Virgo adds a layer of analytical criticism on top of that. The result is someone who can be genuinely harsh with themselves, who's never quite satisfied, who finishes something and immediately starts seeing everything that's wrong with it instead of appreciating what's right. The anxiety can get loud. The overthinking doesn't really turn off. And burnout is a very real risk when this combination doesn't build in rest and self-compassion deliberately. But when an INFJ Virgo learns to manage those tendencies, they're genuinely impressive. They're the ones who can take a messy, complicated situation and find a clear, workable path through it. They're good at helping others in practical ways, not just emotionally, but concretely. And they often see what needs to happen long before anyone else has figured it out. Now, let's get to Capricorn. Capricorn is the third Earth sign, covering people born roughly between late December and late January. This is the most ambitious and goal-focused of the 3 Earth signs. Capricorn is disciplined, serious, and deeply motivated by long-term results. They're not interested in shortcuts. They're willing to put in years of consistent work towards something they believe in. They're practical, they're patient in a specific way, and they're very protective of what they've built. The INFJ Capricorn combination might be the most powerful version of the Earth sign pairings, and also one of the most quietly intense. Because INFJs have vision, they see possibilities and futures that other people don't notice yet. And Capricorn has the discipline and the drive to actually build toward that vision consistently over time. These two things together create someone who's not just dreaming about what could be, but actively working toward it with a level of seriousness that others can underestimate. This combination tends to be very reserved on the outside. They don't share what they're working on until it's done. They don't make noise about their goals. They just quietly keep going day after day until something solid exists where before there was nothing. And then people look at what they've built and wonder when it happened. The strength here is real-world results. An INFJ Capricorn doesn't just think about building a better life. They actually do it. They can tolerate long periods of discomfort if they can see that the discomfort is leading somewhere meaningful. They're resilient in a way that's different from loud resilience. It's quiet, internal, and consistent. The difficulty is emotional suppression. Capricorn's way of coping with hard feelings is often to work harder, to keep moving, to focus on the task and push the emotion down until later. And for an INFJ, whose inner world is already very active and very full, that suppression can build up. If it doesn't find a release somewhere, the INFJ Capricorn can end up feeling isolated and disconnected, like they're succeeding on paper, but not actually living. The important thing for this combination is to build in spaces where the emotional side gets to exist. Not just the disciplined, goal-focused side. Writing, creative work, honest conversations with a few people they truly trust. Any outlet that gives the INFJ part somewhere to breathe while the Capricorn part keeps building. Looking at all 3 combinations together, what's clear is that Earth signs give the INFJ something very specific and very useful. They give it structure. They give it roots. The INFJ, without Earth energy, can stay stuck in ideas, in feelings, in visions that never quite make it into reality because the gap between imagining something and actually doing it is too wide. Earth signs narrow that gap. Taurus narrows it by making the INFJ comfortable with slow, consistent effort and stable ground. Virgo narrows it by giving the INFJ the tools to organize, analyze, and execute. Capricorn narrows it by giving the INFJ the ambition and discipline to stay the course even when progress is invisible. Each one has a cost. Taurus can make you stuck. Virgo can make you anxious and exhausted. Capricorn can make you cold and emotionally shut down. But each one also offers something genuinely valuable to a personality type that has so much internal depth and so much to offer, but sometimes struggles to get it out of their head and into the world. If you're an INFJ and you're also one of these 3 earth signs, I'd genuinely love to know which part of this felt most accurate. And if you're not an earth sign, does any of this remind you of someone you know? Drop it in the comments, because I think this series is more interesting when real people share their real experiences alongside it. Thanks for watching. If this video resonated with you, please consider hitting the subscribe button. I want to be upfront and share that I use this text-to-speech voice to tell my stories because as a full-time ESL teacher, I have to be very careful with my vocal cords. Managing vocal nodules means I have to save my voice for my students, but I didn't want that to stop me from sharing these unfiltered thoughts with you. I'm Jhonna, and I'm currently working toward my goal of 1,000 subscribers, so I can finally monetize this channel and turn this passion into a sustainable part of my future. This is my diary of solo living here in the Philippines, and your support, whether through a comment or a sub, helps me keep this channel growing. If you would like to help out even more, you can check out the Buy a Treat for My Pets link in the description. My dogs definitely appreciate the love. Make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss the next update. Thank you for being such an important part of this journey. I'm Jhonna, and I will see you in the next one.